Tonight, we journey into the shadows, unraveling stories of terrifying encounters with entities from realms beyond. If you think you're brave enough, join us as we delve into accounts that defy logic and chill the soul. But beware! Each tale serves as a haunting reminder that some doors should remain closed. Title: The Whisperer in the Crowd. The restroom door swung shut, and Lily stared after the woman, her pulse quickened by a creeping unease. Around them, the hum of the market seemed to fade, leaving an oppressive silence in its place. Miranda, ever pragmatic, gave a nervous laugh that sounded forced. "That was weird," Miranda said, breaking the quiet. "She must have overheard something earlier. Maybe when we were at the juice stand?" Lily frowned, searching her memory. "We didn't talk about your allergy. Not once." Miranda shrugged, but Lily could see the tension in her shoulders. "Maybe it's a lucky guess. A really strange one, but still a guess." Lily wanted to agree, but the woman's words had been too precise, too confident. It wasn't just a vague warning. It was targeted, specific, and disturbingly personal. By the time the line moved forward and it was their turn for the restroom, they were both eager to brush off the incident. Yet, as they left the market and wandered toward a nearby cafe, the conversation circled back to the encounter like an itch they couldn't ignore. The cafe was warm and cozy, a welcome respite from the chill of the market. They found a table by the window, the sunlight filtering through frosted glass and painting soft patterns on the wooden surface. Miranda sipped her coffee, her fingers drumming a restless rhythm on the cup. "It's probably nothing," she said, her tone more to convince herself than Lily. "People can be intuitive. Maybe she just picked up on something in my demeanor." Lily raised an eyebrow. "Your watermelon demeanor? Come on, Miranda, that's not normal." And the way she looked at you, like she knew you. It was creepy. Miranda sighed, leaning back in her chair. "You're overthinking it. She was just some eccentric. Philly's full of them." Lily wanted to let it go, but her mind refused to cooperate. She remembered the woman's piercing green eyes, the way they seemed to see through them both, as though peeling back layers of their lives with unsettling ease. And then there was the way she had vanished. Quickly, quietly, without a trace. What if she wasn't just some random person? Lily asked, her voice low. What if she's been watching you? I mean, think about it, what are the odds someone would randomly know something like that? Miranda laughed, though there was little humor in it. Now you're making it sound like a conspiracy. Next, you'll be telling me she's a spy. Don't joke about this, Lily said sharply, surprising herself with the intensity of her tone. What if there's more to it? The day wore on, and by evening they had mostly pushed the incident out of their minds. They strolled through the city, enjoying the crisp air and the vibrant energy of downtown Philadelphia. Miranda was the first to suggest grabbing dinner at a popular bistro near Rittenhouse Square, and Lily agreed, eager to end the day on a high note. The restaurant was packed, the clatter of dishes and the buzz of conversation creating a lively atmosphere. They were seated at a small table near the bar, where Miranda ordered a seafood pasta, and Lily opted for a hearty burger. As they waited for their food, they fell into easy conversation, laughing about old memories and debating their next stop in the city. When the food arrived, Miranda froze. There, perched atop her plate of pasta, was a decorative wedge of watermelon, thin, vibrant, and unmistakable. Her face turned ashen. What the? Miranda started, her voice trembling. Lily flagged down the server immediately. Excuse me, she's allergic to watermelon. This can't be on her plate. The server looked genuinely apologetic. I'm so sorry about that. It's just a garnish. Most people don't eat it, but I'll get the kitchen to replace your dish right away. As the plate was whisked away, Lily glanced at Miranda. Her friend's hands were trembling slightly, her lips pressed into a thin line. That's not normal, Miranda said quietly. I've eaten out hundreds of times, Lily. That's never happened before. It's a coincidence, Lily said, though the words felt hollow even as she said them. Restaurants mess up orders all the time. Do they? Miranda countered. Or is this something else? Back at their hotel later that night, the mood was somber. Miranda had gone quiet, retreating into herself in a way that made Lily uneasy. Normally vibrant and chatty, her friend now seemed preoccupied, her brow furrowed as she stared at her phone. Lily paced the room, her nerves prickling with unspoken anxiety. Finally, she couldn't take the silence any longer. "What are you looking at?" Miranda hesitated before turning the screen toward her. It was a search engine page, the words "Green-Eyed Woman New Zealand Watermelon Warning" typed into the bar. Dozens of results filled the screen, but none of them seemed relevant. "I thought maybe she's done this before," Miranda explained. "Like maybe she's some kind of, I don't know, medium or something." Lily's stomach churned. "Did you find anything?"
No.
Miranda set the phone down with a frustrated sigh. "But that doesn't mean she hasn't. There's something about her, Lily, something I can't shake." Lily nodded, sitting down on the edge of the bed. "Me neither." The room felt heavy, the air thick with unspoken fears. Outside, the city's sounds carried on as usual, oblivious to the growing sense of dread that filled the small space. Miranda finally broke the silence. "Do you think we'll see her again?" Lily didn't answer right away. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I hope not." As they prepared for bed, neither of them could shake the feeling that someone was watching. Lily double-checked the locks on the door and closed the curtains tightly, her movements brisk and tense. Miranda sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone, the screen illuminating her pale face. "Do you think we're overreacting?" Miranda asked suddenly, her voice small. Lily hesitated. "Maybe, but I'd rather overreact than ignore something important." The lights clicked off, plunging the room into darkness. For a long time, neither of them spoke, the quiet broken only by the occasional creak of the old hotel building. Sleep didn't come easily that night. Somewhere in the city, in the dark corners of Lily's imagination, or perhaps in reality, the green-eyed woman lingered, her warning echoing like a shadow they couldn't escape. Morning brought little solace. The dim winter light seeped through the hotel curtains, casting long shadows across the room. Lily woke first, her sleep fractured by uneasy dreams she couldn't quite remember. Miranda was still curled beneath the covers, her breathing shallow and restless. Lily sat up, rubbing her temples, her thoughts circling back to the events of the previous day. The watermelon garnish, the green-eyed woman, the persistent feeling of being watched. None of it added up, and the unanswered questions gnawed at her. Miranda stirred, blinking groggily at the ceiling. "Morning," she murmured, her voice heavy with fatigue. "Morning," Lily replied. "You okay?" Miranda nodded, but her eyes betrayed her. "Didn't sleep much," she admitted. "Every time I closed my eyes, I kept thinking about her. And the watermelon. Stupid, I know." "It's not stupid," Lily said firmly. "Something about this whole thing is off." We both felt it. Miranda swung her legs over the side of the bed and sighed. "I just want to forget about it. Can we go do something fun today? Clear our heads?" Lily hesitated but nodded. "Sure. Let's just stay alert, okay?" They spent the morning wandering the historic district, visiting landmarks and snapping photos. For a while, it felt like any other trip. They laughed, shared anecdotes, and took turns posing in front of monuments. But by midday, the sense of normalcy began to fray. As they browsed a souvenir shop near Independence Hall, Lily caught sight of something that made her pause. On a small display near the register sat a collection of postcards, each one featuring a hand-drawn sketch of Philadelphia landmarks. Among them was an illustration of Reading Terminal Market. In the foreground of the drawing, barely noticeable unless you looked closely, was the figure of a woman with dark hair and piercing green eyes. "Lily, you okay?" Miranda's voice broke through her thoughts. Lily blinked, her heart thudding. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just thought I saw something." She quickly grabbed a different postcard and paid for it, deciding not to mention the strange detail to Miranda. But as they left the shop, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the woman's image was following them, etched into the city itself. Later that afternoon, they stopped for lunch at a quiet cafe tucked away on a side street. The place was nearly empty, save for a young couple seated near the window and an older man reading a newspaper at the counter. As they ate, Lily noticed Miranda's gaze drift toward the window. She followed her friend's line of sight and froze. Standing across the street was the green-eyed woman. She wasn't looking at them directly, but her posture suggested otherwise. Her head tilted slightly, her expression unreadable. "She's here," Miranda whispered, her fork clattering against her plate. Lily's stomach churned. "It's probably just a coincidence," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. Miranda shook her head.
"No.
"She's following us." When they looked again, the woman was gone. By the time they returned to the hotel, the sense of unease had reached a breaking point. Miranda paced the room while Lily searched for anything online that might explain who the woman was, or why she seemed so fixated on them. "I think we need to tell someone," Miranda said. "Like who?" Lily asked, her frustration spilling over. "The police? What do we even say? There's this woman who knows about your allergy and keeps showing up? They'll think we're crazy." Miranda stopped pacing, her jaw tight. "We have to do something. I can't just sit here and wait for her to show up again." After a long silence, Lily closed her laptop. "Okay," she said. "Let's go back to the market. Maybe someone there knows her." The market was as crowded as ever, the chaos of vendors and shoppers a sharp contrast to their quiet determination. Lily and Miranda approached the juice stand where they'd stopped the day before, hoping the vendor might remember the green-eyed woman. "Excuse me," Lily said, catching the attention of the young man behind the counter. "We were here yesterday, and we think someone was following us. She's about this tall, dark hair, green eyes. Have you seen her?" The vendor frowned, shaking his head. "Sorry, can't say I have. But there's a lot of people in and out of here every day." They tried a few other vendors with no success. Just as they were about to give up, an older woman running a nearby spice stall leaned in conspiratorially. "You're looking for someone?" she asked, her voice low. Miranda nodded. "Yes. Do you know her?" The woman hesitated, glancing around as though ensuring no one else was listening. "I've seen her before. She comes here sometimes, but she's strange, always watching people, never buying anything." "Do you know her name?" Lily asked. The woman shook her head. "No, but you're not the first to ask about her." The cryptic conversation left them with more questions than answers. As they walked back to their hotel, the weight of the day's events pressed heavily on them. "We should go to the police," Miranda said again. Lily nodded reluctantly. "Yeah, maybe it's time." But as they rounded the corner to their hotel, they stopped dead in their tracks. Sitting on a bench near the entrance was the green-eyed woman. She looked up as they approached, her expression calm, almost amused. Before either of them could react, she stood and walked away, disappearing into the crowd as quickly as she had appeared. That night, Miranda and Lily made their way to the local police station. Their nerves frayed but their resolve firm. They recounted everything to the officer on duty: the market encounter, the repeated sightings, the unsettling knowledge the woman seemed to have about Miranda's allergy. The officer listened patiently, though his expression betrayed a hint of skepticism. "Do you have any photos of her?" he asked. Lily shook her head. "No, but we can describe her." The officer took down their statement and promised to keep an eye out, but as they left the station, neither of them felt reassured. Lily woke with a jolt, her heart pounding from a nightmare that evaporated the moment her eyes opened. It was still dark outside, the faint hum of traffic barely audible through the thick hotel windows. She glanced over at Miranda, who was sitting up in bed, scrolling through her phone. "Couldn't sleep?" Lily asked, her voice hoarse. Miranda shook her head. "I kept thinking about yesterday, about her. I was looking up more about the market. Maybe there's some kind of local group or online forum where people share strange encounters." "And?" Lily sat up, rubbing her eyes. Miranda hesitated. "There's a post here from a couple of years ago. Someone described a woman with green eyes hanging around the market, asking personal questions." Lily leaned closer, her interest piqued. What kind of questions? Stuff like where they're from, what they're shopping for, whether they have any food allergies. Miranda looked up, her face pale. She's done this before. Lily's stomach churned. Did anyone say what happened after? Not much, Miranda admitted. The thread just sort of dies out. Lily stared at her friend, the weight of their situation settling heavily on her chest. We need to figure out who she is. Maybe she's connected to the market somehow. The next morning, they returned to Reading Terminal Market with a plan. Armed with a printed description of the green-eyed woman, they visited stall after stall, asking if anyone knew her. Most vendors were polite but unhelpful. A few recognized the woman from Lily's sketch but couldn't offer any concrete details. Then they met Tom, a retired cop who now ran a small stand selling artisanal cheeses. He listened intently as they explained their situation. Green eyes, dark hair, mid-40s? Tom said, stroking his chin. Sounds like Claire. She used to work security here years ago. Do you know where we can find her? Lily asked, her voice tinged with urgency. Tom frowned. Haven't seen her around in a while. Heard she had some personal issues, but she's harmless as far as I know. Miranda shifted uncomfortably. She doesn't feel harmless. Tom sighed. If you're really worried, maybe check with the market office. They'd have her info if she worked here. The market office was tucked away in an inconspicuous corner of the building. A receptionist greeted them with a wary smile, her eyes flicking between the two women as they explained their concerns. Claire Jansen, the receptionist said, typing the name into her computer. She worked here as a security guard for a couple of years, but she left about 4 years ago. Didn't say why. Do you have an address or phone number? Miranda asked. The receptionist hesitated. I can't give out personal information, but she used to rent a small apartment not far from here. You might still find her there. Lily and Miranda exchanged a glance. It was a long shot, but it was the best lead they had. The building was as nondescript as they'd expected. A faded brick structure with peeling paint and a rusted fire escape. They stood at the base of the steps, staring up at the rows of windows. Are we really doing this? Miranda asked, her voice trembling slightly. Lily nodded. We need answers. They climbed the stairs and knocked on the door marked 2C. There was no response. Lily tried again, her knuckles rapping harder against the wood. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing a disheveled woman with dark circles under her eyes. It was her, Claire Jansen. What do you want? Claire asked, her voice flat but wary. We need to talk, Lily said firmly. Why have you been following us? Claire's eyes narrowed. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do, Miranda said, stepping forward. You knew about my allergy. You've been watching us. Why? Claire sighed, running a hand through her hair. You don't understand. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Then explain, Lily demanded. Claire hesitated before stepping aside, gesturing for them to enter. The apartment was sparse and cluttered, with papers and photographs strewn across every surface. Lily's eyes immediately landed on a stack of pictures. Snapshots of various people, including herself and Miranda. What the hell is this? Miranda asked, her voice shaking. Claire sank into a chair, her shoulders slumping. I used to work security at the market. I saw things, patterns, people acting strange. I started keeping track. Of us? Lily pressed. No, Claire said quickly. Not at first. But when I saw you, something felt familiar, like I'd seen you before. I couldn't ignore it. Claire reached for a folder on the table and handed it to them. Inside were articles, police reports, and handwritten notes. The common thread: incidents involving watermelon allergies, some of which had resulted in near-fatal reactions. What does this have to do with us? Miranda asked. Claire pointed to a grainy photo of a woman at the center of one of the reports. This is my sister. She died because someone tampered with her food. She had the same allergy. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. You think someone's targeting people with this allergy? I don't think I know, Claire said. It's happened too many times to be a coincidence. And when I saw you at the market, I thought maybe you were next. Claire's words hit them like a punch to the gut. The pieces began to fall into place, and a horrifying possibility emerged. Someone was deliberately targeting individuals with severe food allergies. The green-eyed woman wasn't a stalker. She was trying to warn them. As they processed the revelation, a noise outside the apartment caught their attention. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, slow and deliberate. "Did you tell anyone we were coming here?" Claire asked, her voice low. Lily and Miranda shook their heads. Claire stood, moving toward the door cautiously. "Stay here." The tension was suffocating as Claire peered through the peephole. Her expression darkened. "Get out. Now." "What? Why?" Miranda asked, panic rising. Claire didn't answer. She grabbed a set of keys from the table and ushered them toward the fire escape. "Go. I'll distract them." They didn't wait to argue. Scrambling down the fire escape, Lily and Miranda ran until they were sure they were far enough away. Behind them, the faint sound of shouting and a door slamming echoed through the night. When they finally stopped, Miranda doubled over, gasping for breath. "What just happened?" "I don't know," Lily said, her voice trembling. "But we're not safe here." Days later, back in their hometown, they received a package in the mail. Inside was a single photograph of Claire, standing outside the market, her expression solemn. Attached was a note. "Be careful. It's not over." The message was clear. The danger was still out there, lurking unseen. And now they knew they could never let their guard down again.